Does The Last of Us Part 2 really need a remaster? Over the last couple of years, developer Naughty Dog's tale of a post-apocalyptic world has been fleshed out across several games and transmedia properties, and fans have been debating if a spruced up version of The Last of Us Part 2, an incredible game that helped end the PlayStation 4 generation with a bang, is even necessary. After all, the 2020 game is a damn good looking piece of interactive entertainment, and it already got a PS5 performance patch not too long ago. So who is this version of The Last of Us Part 2 meant for? Will it appeal to longtime fans who have already experienced this harrowing story? Can newcomers to the series, no doubt curious after sinking their teeth into last year's remastered version of the original The Last of Us game and the HBO series, find something worth shelling out extra cash for? I think that no matter where you stand on The Last of Us Part 2, an incredibly divisive game for all the right and wrong reasons, there's no denying that this new release of the sequel is the definitive version. It's not a quick cash-in because amidst technical improvements and enhancements, some fun extras extend this game's longevity beyond the core experience. Before we dive into what's new, let's take a look at what you can expect from The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. I like to think that games like this represent the prestige appeal of first-party PlayStation titles at their peak. A single-player adventure set in a meticulously crafted world that leaves a lasting impression on you by the time the end credits have rolled. This has been Sony's approach for over a decade now, a direction that has led to hit games like Ghost of Tsushima, Marvel's Spider-Man, and so many more from its various studios. When you think of that template, The Last of Us Part 2 nails the formula for riveting entertainment. It is a brutal game set in a harsh world, one where you actually begin to question the violence that you inflict on the people around you and the lingering damage that these characters have to deal with when they try to move on. I don't want to spoil the story of The Last of Us Part 2 because it's a masterpiece that examines the destructive cycle of revenge. There are no heroes or villains in this game, but there are monsters, and it's up to you to decide just how much of a nightmare you want to be when you're forced into terrible situations. Yes, I know the game is divisive, but if it can provoke such powerful responses and emotions from the people who play it, it's definitely doing something right to achieve something that only a handful of video games have accomplished over the decades. Alright, so now that you know that Part 2 is going to leave you an emotional wreck by the time that you wrap up its meaty 20 to 25 hour storyline, what else can you expect in this remastered package? On the visual side, the game now sports native 4K output in Fidelity mode, 1440p upscale to 4K in Performance mode, and an unlocked frame rate option for TVs that support variable refresh rate. On top of that, there's also increased texture resolution, increased level of detail distances, improved shadow quality, animation sampling rate, and improved loading times. That makes for a game that looks downright spectacular on PS5, leagues above the PS4 and PS4 Pro versions. Sure, the performance patch in 2021 was a welcome upgrade that allowed for 60 frames per second gameplay on the then next-gen console, but in comparison, this PS5 upgrade leaves those versions behind in the last-gen dust. If you've got the right television, keeping the game in quality mode and selecting the uncapped frame rate option results in black magic, as evidenced by my playthrough on my LG CX television. For returning players, there are also the lost levels. This content was originally cut from the base game on PS5 and includes the new Jackson Dance, Boar Hunt, and Sewers, and is joined by hours of new developer commentary to give you more insight into Part 2's development. Just as important are the new accessibility modes that add a wide number of features. Descriptive audio and speech to vibrations uses the DualSense controller to indicate character speech and cadence. And there are a number of other options available to fine-tune the game for players with different disabilities and requirements. There's also a speedrun mode, something that we saw in The Last of Us Part 1, as well as a selection of bonus skins for Ellie, Abby, and their weapons. Hell, even the photo mode has been upgraded with dynamic lighting, frame forward, and gaze direction, as well as new frame and logo options for any of you budding shutterbugs. But the real meat of these extras can be found in two new modes, a roguelite mode called No Return, and a chance to become a guitar hero in a free play mode centered around that humble instrument. The guitar free play mode does pretty much what it says on the box, giving you a brief moment of downtime to strum out some songs on a variety of guitars or a banjo, as either Joel, Ellie, or as the Last of Us series composer Gustavo Center. I'm not even going to try and say his name properly. He has his name. He's a bloody genius. I love his music. So I'm sorry. So where was I? Talking about No Return. Yes. So what about No Return? At first glance, a roguelite, The Last of Us sounds like a mode that is at odds with the core of the game, as combat is heavy, methodical, and emotionally scarring when you play it. Surprisingly, it works damn well. All the basics of a roguelite mode are here, as you'll pick a character, leverage their unique strengths in randomized encounters, and unlock upgrades along the way. Now, it's not going to keep games like Dead Cells up at night with concern and worry, but No Survivor still holds its own in this genre, as every run is an armpit moistening battle against escalating odds. Each run gets shaken up by modifiers that'll keep you on your toes or encourage you to experiment, and the arcade flavor pushes you to be the best in each scenario. It's a highlight reel of violence, as each arena is pulled from a section of the base game and is populated with familiar and new enemies to deal with. If you can survive 5 encounters, you'll get thrown into a boss fight, but if you lose, it's back to the start for a fresh run, just as the roguelite gods intended. If there's one area where this mode can improve, it's in the pacing department, as between grabbing as many supplies as possible, fending off infected, and crafting explosives, there's just not a lot of time to experiment with your builds. You're going to have to think fast in this mode, which is split between hunting waves of enemies from the various game factions or surviving against a horde of them, and there's no time to catch your breath, let alone experiment with new playstyles. The flip side to Naughty Dog's approach is that No Survivor also works brilliantly as a quick roguelite for a not so chill afternoon, a game mode that's just deep enough and won't require you to read through an entire wiki to help you min-max your build. And I'm okay with that, because with sub-objectives to pursue, modifiers that allow for some ridiculous moments, and challenges that unlock some terrific extra content, there's more than enough here to keep you occupied. And your laundry hamper full of sweat-soaked t-shirts. We are living in a golden age of remakes and remasters right now, and The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered is proof of that. It's not enough to slap on a new coat of high definition paint on an older game, as people expect more when the classics enter the marketplace. The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered lives up to those expectations, delivering a silky smooth audiovisual experience, stunning landscapes to explore, and fun new modes to make you feel like you've gotten the most bang for your buck by returning to Naughty Dog's video game masterpiece.